Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I hope that the sound on my microphone is still okay because I had a little bit of an accident with it and now the top of the microphone is flat. So we'll see. If it works, and that would be great, but if it sounds a bit funny, that's why. Anyway, so in this video I am doing a character illustration of Queen Jadis from the Chronicles of Narnia, and how this came about is because a little while ago my boyfriend and I started reading the Narnia books together, and obviously we started with the first one, so the Magician's Nephew, when she as a character is first introduced, and I felt really inspired to try and do a few little illustrations from the books of my own. And initially I had planned to do the scene where Aslan is, he's first appeared, they're in the middle of like nothing and he starts to sing and Narnia starts to come into existence. So I wanted to do that scene first, and I did try and do a few sketches in preparation for it, but I don't actually know how to draw lions, so I kind of put that to the side for the moment. Plus I had an issue with trying to translate what was in my head to, paper or my Procreate or whatever. So yeah, I decided to kind of leave that for the moment and do just a simple character illustration of Queen Jadis. So here I am painting her, obviously. And what I thought would be cool, which I have done digitally and you can see it on my Instagram, is I did a kind of a mirror image. Well, actually, did I put the mirror image on my Instagram? I don't think so, but the idea is that I would have these two mirror imaged paintings of this one character. So the way I'm painting her now is with like really strong reds and like warm colours, because that's how I imagine how she looked when she first appears in the books, when the two children meet her in the city of Charn. I would say Charn, but anyway, and the way she's described, she sounds really regal, and she just sounds, the image that I get of her in that scene is that she has very kind of like strong, confident, bold colours, and then the other image that I wanted to try was her white witch self as she appears in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So her colours there would be kind of not reversed necessarily, but much, much cooler. So here you can see I'm painting her robes as like this really bright scarlet. They're a very strong red colour. It's very, very warm toned. And in her white witch form, it's not like they're forms, I know, but in my imagination, when she transforms or becomes the white witch, everything is drained of colour. So it would move more into tones of like obviously white, but also kind of like icy blues and blacks and stuff. So I am going to paint that as well. I won't make a video of it because it'll essentially be the same process. But here I was really excited to do this picture, mainly because I just really wanted to do something a little bit more fantastical than usual. I know it's not like absolutely blown out of the water fantasy or anything, but I wanted her to have that fantasy element but still look really believable and regal. Like she does maybe come from another world where they use magic, but it's not like a completely overdone super like loads of colors everywhere. Like I wanted her to still seem relatively realistic. So that's basically it. That's kind of like how this picture kind of came about. And I do have the color concepts for both images on my Instagram because I was playing around with colors a little bit, and I have a couple of like preparatory sketches and stuff. I have the original sketch as well that I did that kind of inspired the design in the first place. So all of that's on my Instagram, so feel free to have a look at it if you feel tempted. there isn't really that much more to say. Like, this is probably one of my longer videos, so I feel like maybe I should talk a little bit more. I don't really know what to say. I would like to remind you, if you haven't had a look at my Etsy shop, it's open again. I have stuff there, some original work. I don't know what I'll be doing with this painting and the one, like, I'm going to wait until I decide anything until after the second, like the counterpart piece is done as well. I don't know if I'm going to see if I can sell them either individually or together or make prints of it. So if you have any ideas of, you know, what I could do, that would be greatly appreciated. So I suppose I could explain the basic process of what I've done. I mean, I think everything is fairly self-explanatory. You saw right at the beginning of the video I did the graphite tracing trick, you know, where you slap a whole bunch of graphite on the back of a picture and you trace over the lines to print that graphite onto the page that you want to paint on or whatever. It's fairly straightforward. I'm sure you've seen it before. It's a very, very common technique. And then from that, I just painted. Ideally, I would have liked to use a light box for it, because not that it actually bothered me this time, because I was using gouache to paint, which is so opaque and matte that it worked out fine. But normally I would like to use a light box and trace with an erasable red pencil. I just feel like the lines hide better when you paint anyway, if you do it that way. But my light box is a little bit broken as well. I apparently break every kind of piece of technology that I have, but the USB is a little bit wonky, and it's only an A4 size. I'm painting on an A3 page here, so it would have been too big anyway, but I would have managed if I'd really wanted to, but I was too lazy to make that mild effort, so I used the graphite tracing technique. So like I say, the paints I'm using are gouache, acrylic gouache actually, because I just really, really like the effect that gouache has. I love that matte finish that it has, and you know, it's great for illustrations. I'm sure anybody will tell you this, like, similarly. But the advantage of using the acrylic gouache, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before as well, is that when they're dry, they won't reactivate with water, which is what regular traditional gouache does, which can be really frustrating. And I have used regular gouache before, and it does really mess up a picture if you accidentally reactivate the gouache even after it's dried. So here the acrylic gouache has obviously acrylic properties to it, in the same way that regular acrylic paint is completely permanent when it's dry. So this stuff won't move when it's dry. It's great. I love it. I'm so glad I bought it. It's specifically the Holbein brand. It's a good brand. I think they're quite expensive and they are hard to get here in Ireland. Well, actually, no, they're not. I ordered them from Dublin actually, so it's not too bad. But I remember I had to search around for a while to find them, and I've seen like the multi-packs of them online, and they're fierce expensive. Like, so I'd recommend having a look at them if you're interested in this type of material. And even if you are, but you can't afford them, that's grand. There are, I'm sure, a ton of duplicates or, you know, cheaper variations of it. I know in the shop where I work, we used to have like this set of matte acrylics, they were called, and they were pretty much the same thing. They were kind of like craft paints, but they dried matte, and because they were acrylic, they were permanent. And it's that matte effect that I really like. So matte acrylic or acrylic gouache, either of those will do. You'll definitely be able to find them somewhere. The Holbein ones, like I say, are really good because the quality of the pigment is great, but it's not necessary. If you want to try acrylic gouache, you know, you'll find cheaper options, I'm sure. I did have this, well, I still kind of do, I guess, where I have a kind of a problem, I suppose. I know a lot of people suffer from it. I'm making it sound really dramatic. It's not at all. It's just the fact of having expensive materials. I'll often not use them for a really very long time because I'm too scared to waste them on something that would potentially be like just a sketch or something unimportant. You know, I like to you know, I'm sure like everybody else, it's nice to use good materials for something that you've really worked hard on planning, but I'm kind of over that now as well. I've started using these paints in just my sketchbook even. I'm trying to kind of make myself just use them, just enjoy them, and it is nice. It is nice to be able to actually experience these nice materials, but in a very casual and not stressed out way, like I used to do. There are still kind of moments where I'll feel like I want to paint a sketch, but I think using these paints is just they're just too good. It is a waste sometimes, but I don't know, some people are just better at it than others. Even with like expensive watercolors or expensive acrylic, or even if you just buy like a fancy pen, sometimes it's just really hard to bring yourself to use it for just like sketching or something really kind of mundane. But anyway, so I'm trying to make myself use these paints more. Actually, just to kind of to come back to the painting here, I'm actually using acrylic ink for the crown. So black acrylic ink. I don't know why I used that over the acrylic gouache. I think it was just closer to hand. Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really have a reason, and it's not really that important, I guess, but I did a poll actually on Instagram a few days ago, because while I was exploring the color concepts for these pictures, one of the issues I couldn't kind of get around was whether to give her a black crown and staff or a gold crown and staff. And when I say gold, I really just meant like a golden yellow. It wasn't actual gold. And I personally preferred the black, I think, but I wasn't sure. So I wanted to get other people's opinions, and actually a lot of people voted for the gold instead. And it was the kind of thing that, like, the moment I saw that most people were voting gold, I knew that actually I wanted to do the black. But I tried fiddling around with it on my iPad, and I think I kind of came to a good middle ground, where the line art on my, because I was using Procreate, the line art layer was, actually no, at that point I had actually merged or copied all of the layers together, so it was all just on one layer, and I was just selecting the color of the crown, and obviously the selected area just stayed within the lines. So sorry, I know I'm stuttering a lot, I'm just trying to kind of gather my thoughts, but the lines were already yellow, and when I selected the areas around the line art and brought it to black, the gold came through the line art, and it looked really, really cool. And here you can see that I had the idea to then literally make those kind of grooves in the crown gold. That was the paint that I was using, and yeah, and I think it turned out really well. I think, like I say, it's a happy medium between the two. I got to do the black crown like I wanted, but I actually still, by accident, figured out how to include the gold in a nice way. I think the other gold that I could have used, or that I was asking people about, it would have just been too much yellow, especially with that yellow smoke behind her, especially behind her head. It would have just been too much. So I think this kind of helps make her stand out a little bit more, and yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. The one thing I'm a little bit sorry about is in the original sketch that I did on my iPad, her smile was, I don't know, there was something about it that I much preferred than how it ended up in the painting. It was more kind of like regal and proud. Here I fixed it as best as I could, but I think she still kind of looks a little bit too smarmy. She looked a little bit more like queen-like in the original sketch, so that's the only bit about this that I'm a bit sorry it didn't turn out exactly the same. But otherwise it did. Obviously the colours done in traditional materials aren't as vibrant as they were when they were digital, but I'm still pretty proud of myself for getting them as saturated as I did. Especially that yellow, I had a lot of trouble mixing it. I know you can't mix yellow as such, but like what I mean is it was such a specific yellow on the screen of my iPad, and it was a very kind of bright, almost mustardy kind of colour, and I do have a paint that is called mustard, but it's just too green, so I had to try and modify it and warm it up but also lighten it, but so it was a bit of a struggle, but I think it looks really good, and I'm really happy with the colour harmonies in this, and yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm happy with it. That's pretty much it anyway at this point. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry if you felt that I rambled a bit. I'll let you finish it in peace, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will ramble to you in the next video. Thank you, bye bye.